Most agencies think they're growing, and on the surface, the numbers look fine. A few new accounts, some renewals, a little more revenue than last quarter, but underneath, they're actually leaking money. And your producers are working hard. They're quoting, they're following up, they're staying busy all day. Yet somehow, the agency isn't really moving forward. The book might grow a little bit, but the profit doesn't. And you start asking yourself, where's it all going? And it's not because your producers can't sell, it's because your agency isn't tracking the numbers that actually drive growth. Everyone's busy, but nobody's measuring what truly matters, and that's the difference between agencies hitting solid organic growth and the ones that are slowly dying. You know, after 30 years of coaching producers, I can tell you, almost every agency I've worked with has the same blind spots, the same 4 leaks quietly draining hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. And the top agencies, well, they know exactly where their money's coming from and exactly where it's slipping away. They track their appointments, they know their close ratios, and they know their average account size, which means they can predict new revenue before the month even starts. And that's the difference between hoping for growth and engineering it. And in this video, I'm going to show you the same formula that those top agencies use, the 4 metrics that will help you plug those leaks and start growing with intention. So let's break this down. Hi there, I'm Schwantz, and welcome to the Bignition channel, the home of the triple threat solution, sales training, sales CRM, and sales management platform, all in one integrated system. Every agency wants to grow, and most owners think it's about effort. More calls, more quotes, more hustle. But growth isn't just about effort, it's about math. And there are 4 numbers that tell you everything about growth. And it starts with the number of appointments your producers are setting. Not calls, not coffee chats, real meetings with real decision makers. And if that number's low, your pipeline's already weak. Next, it's your close ratio. How many of those appointments actually turn into clients? And that's the number that measures sales effectiveness. And then comes average account size, because if your producers are closing a bunch of small, price-sensitive accounts, they don't add up very fast. And even worse, puts them in a terrible position a few years down the road as they get buried in renewals. And finally, revenue is a result of those 3 numbers working together. So this is your growth equation. And once you understand that equation, growth stops being a mystery. So here's an example. Let's say a producer books 10 qualified appointments a month, closes 30%, and earns an average of $2,500 per account. That's about $7,500 in new business a month, roughly $90,000 a year. Well, not bad, you say. Well, now imagine they double the account size, $5K instead of $2,500, same close ratio, same number of appointments. That one change adds another 90 grand a year in new revenue. Or improve the close ratio by 10%. That's 10 more new accounts a year. And that's the power of this equation. Small improvements at each step multiply into something big. But most agencies never see that because they're tracking activity, quotes, calls, emails, instead of results. But once you start managing through these 4 numbers, growth becomes predictable. You'll know exactly how much new business each producer can generate, where they're slipping, and what to fix. And that's what top agencies do. They don't hope for growth, they plan for it. So let's start with the first metric, revenue. Now, every agency tracks it, but the problem is that most of them are doing it wrong. They lump renewals and contingents and overrides together and call it growth. That's not growth. It's maintenance. If you want to know how healthy your agency really is, just track new business revenue separately. The money coming from new accounts bound during that period. Not renewals, not rewrites. Renewals are your keep number, but your new business revenue is your grow number. Say your agency did $2 million last year. That might sound good on paper until you see that 1.9 million of that came from renewals and only 100K was new business. That's just 5% growth. Lose a couple of big accounts and that growth vanishes overnight. An agency with 15 or 20% new business growth, now that's healthy, and that's momentum. And when you track new business separately, you can set real goals. It's just saying, hey, your goal is $1 million book. You can say your goal is $150,000 in new revenue this year. And that changes how producers think. It forces them to focus on prospecting and attracting the right kind of clients. So new revenue is your scoreboard. It tells you if you're growing or just surviving. And the second number is your close ratio. How many of your opportunities actually turn into clients? Your close ratio shows how effective your producers are once they're in front of the right people. And if they're meeting good prospects in their niche, but closing, say, less than 25%, something's deadly wrong. So more than likely, they're not selling value. Look, I worked with a producer who closed about 20% of his quotes. It was terrible, but he was quoting everyone, anyone who asked. So we changed his approach. We taught him the wedge sales process. He started asking penetrating questions which uncovered pain points. And before he offered the quote, he rehearsed his prospect through the process of telling the incumbent it was over. His close ratio tripled to 60%, but he also focused on larger accounts. Higher close ratios, a huge impact on new business. Same effort, tripled the result. And that's what happens when you track this number. You start focusing on quality over quantity. And the third number is your average account size. And it tells you whether your producers are chasing the right business. It's pretty simple. If your producer wants to grow, all new accounts need to be close to the average of the top 20% of their accounts. And if not, they'll soon transform from a producer to an executive account manager. And that's when renewals is where they focus 90% of the time. It's what happens when producers write whatever comes their way. They end up with 150 accounts, $500,000 in revenue, and they're working 3 renewals a week. It's like hiking through a swamp. It takes an enormous amount of effort and it slows you down a lot. Agencies grow when they simply raise the average size of every account. So start tracking this number. Show producers what it means for their income and their agency's growth. And once they see the math, they stop chasing every deal and they start chasing the right size deals. And the fourth number, and the one that drives all the others, is appointment set. See, if your producers aren't setting enough real appointments every week, the rest of the math doesn't matter. You can't close what you never set down to discuss. And by appointments, I mean first meetings with decision makers, not follow-ups, not service calls, real conversations that start the sales process. See, if a producer sets 6 qualified appointments a month and closes 30%, that's 2 new clients a month. Now, if they just set 1 more appointment a week with the same close rate and account size, their annual revenue can jump 20 to 30%. And that's the kind of impact you can get with just 1 extra meeting a week. And that's the most controllable lever in your agency. You can't force someone to close better overnight, but you can coach them to make more high-quality contacts. And when producers track this number, they start to see the connection between their calendar and their commission check. Top agencies manage this every week because more qualified appointments lead to better opportunities. Better opportunities lead to higher close ratios, and that leads to predictable growth. Everything starts here. So when you modify each of these numbers even a little bit, the results multiply fast. So you have 3 levers: close ratio, appointments booked, and average size account. And this might be the most important takeaway. When you track these numbers and understand them on a producer by producer basis, you can now coach them. If you don't track them, then you don't know what to coach. About all you can do is give more inspiring speeches, and let's be honest, that wears you out and they get tired of hearing it. So start tracking these 4 metrics and coaching around them every week. Growth becomes predictable, and producers start believing in the process. And that's what the best agencies do differently. They don't wait for growth to happen, they design it. So here's my challenge for you. For the next 13 weeks, track these 4 numbers for every producer every single week. How many real appointments did they set? How many turned into wins? What was the average commission per account? And how much new business did that generate? That's it. 4 simple numbers. You don't need fancy software, you just need visibility. And I promise you, once you see those numbers on paper, it'll change how you coach your producers and manage your team, because you can't fix what you can't see. The agencies that grow fastest aren't doing anything magical. They're just disciplined about measuring what matters. They know their formula, they know their leaks, and they fix them before they become losses. If you track these 4 numbers for 13 weeks straight, your sales meetings will get better, your accountability will get cleaner, and your growth will become predictable. And that's when you stop chasing growth and start controlling it. And if you want help installing a system to track and coach around these numbers, that's exactly what we do at Bignition. We help agencies measure, manage, and multiply their growth. Because at the end of the day, this business isn't about luck or just hustle. It's about math, consistency, and execution. And once you see the numbers clearly, you'll never go back to guessing again.